Okay, friends, here we go. It's messed up number one. What I want to do today is talk to you about the whole title and what messed up really means, and really how I got messed up. First of all, the title comes from four different ideas. Messed up, when I was age 40, there were 3 years where a horrible set of tragic events really absolutely messed me up. And I'm going to talk about those in a second. What I also want to mention is, once those events happened, my childhood religion just really had not prepared me to deal with these events. So, in many ways, my religion messed me up. Thirdly, I want to get to the point later on is how I believe the church and much of organized religion is messing people up today in many of the things that we think about, and especially when tragedies and difficulties happen in our lives. At the end of this series, I'm going to talk about how Africa messed me up. And I'm going to talk about how Africa messed me up in an unbelievably good way that allowed to save my life, to save my faith, to save my relationship with God. So here we go. One of the things I want to say is, as I'm doing this, many of the events I'll talk about this is a very hard thing for me because these were very, very painful events. And for a writer, one of the most difficult things is really talking about things that are incredibly painful because you get a chance to go and relive those. So at age 40, I pretty much had the perfect life. I'd been a professor at Johns Hopkins. I had the perfect family. I had a wife of 18 years. I was really a prodigy amongst my peers, and things had really gone well. I had over 30 patents and just really had been at prestigious places like Johns Hopkins for 6 years and been a professor at Wake Forest and been a CEO of a public company. So really many aspects of my life had worked out incredibly well. Now, up until age 40, my view of God were really pretty much my conservative childhood views. They were pretty much traditional conservative Christian upbringing. I was a member of a thriving church. The church, we were growing leaps and bounds, and we were doing some really important things. We were taking care of 500 people at Christmas. We had started a little league for mentally and physically handicapped children. Things were going very, very well. Then suddenly, at age 40, several catastrophic events happened in my life, and they all happened within 3 years. First of all, there was the death of my father. Then I had a bout with cancer. I had a softball-sized tumor on my spine. Then there was a painful and very unexpected loss of my marriage of 18 years. And pretty much the disruption of my family. It was simply horrific. The company that I had built, I was a CEO of a public company, and I built it to an $80 million value. And that company was lost. But most importantly during that 3 years, there was the accident of my son Josh. My son Josh was one of the best football players in the state of North Carolina. He was a middle linebacker for Mount Tabor High School. He was driving to the semifinals of the state playoffs against West Charlotte and was in an automobile accident and was paralyzed from the waist down. After these 3 years and after the events of these 3 years, to be quite honest, I was pissed. I had had enough of this. And if this was God trying to teach me a lesson, well, you know what? I'd had enough of his lessons. I absolutely lost my faith. I absolutely lost any way of thinking about God. And quite honestly, if this was what it was all about, I really wanted nothing of it. And, you know, many of us who grew up in conservative backgrounds have been taught that kind of the ever-present threat is that we'll end up in going to hell. But to be quite honest, at that point in time, the thought of hell was such that, you know what, if this is the way life is, bring it on. My thoughts at the time were, God, I was doing everything right. I was honoring you. I was going to church every Sunday. I was teaching Sunday school. I was doing everything. I was taking care of the homeless and the helpless. I was doing everything that you wanted me to, or I felt you wanted me to, and you did not protect me. And you know, my pre-accident notions about God and His plan for my life, they were just no longer working. And really, none of this had any meaning for me at all. And I was incredibly angry. At that point in time, I wasn't going to fake it anymore. And I remember a counselor, I was sitting with a counselor one day, and I was sitting there going, it's not that bad, or children have it worse in Africa, or all kinds of things that we say to minimalize things. And I remember the counselor grabbing me by the shirt and saying, listen, Steve, yes, children in Africa do have it worse, but your life sucks at this particular moment. So I wanted to give you a little background for those 3 years, and I call them my Job years because I feel like I almost experienced what Job experienced in those years. I guess what I'd like your input on as we began to move through the book is, have you had times like this? And have there been times in your life that you've lost your footing, that things no longer make sense to you? I think the thing that God wants most out of us is to get real. And as my counselor said, when it's bad, it's time to get real with God. And I think when he grabbed me by the shirt and said, you know what, your life sucks right now. There's times in our lives when we have to be honest enough, I think, to say, you know what, this sucks. And so again, I just put it out there. I wanted to set the stage for the first messed up and really get your thoughts as to whether or not there's been periods of time that have been like that for you. I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. I hope you're blessed. Be good. We'll talk tomorrow.